The sun's up and the heat is on. I'm getting all of my summer essentials ready, which consists of a light colored bucket hat, stylish shades, non-sticky hair oil, my light and fresh perfume, and of course, an Instax cam to commemorate all of those summer memories. But wait, maybe we can add more to the list? Probably Romance Bare Wear Cushion, and this new line of lip balms, which is the Glasting Melting Balms. Hello, stranger! I'm so excited to get soaked in the sun, but more excited to try out Romance's newest releases. It's so hot right now, but let's see if these new stuff are worthy to get packed for summer. We'll be doing some swatches and wear tests as well, starting off with Romance Glasting Melting Balms. These balms are so tiny, I could actually fit all 8 in one hand. I actually like them cute-sized, more compact, easier to carry around, fits in your mini bag. The packaging seems to be made out of plastic, it's not really flimsy, and I like the added color gradation for the cap, having the color similar to what the shade is supposed to be. The cap is pretty snug, and opening this up, you get a burst of that very fruity smell. Nothing too hard on the nose though. You can twist the end back and forth to get more or less of the product. And this is how the Glasting Melting Balms should look like. The formulation of this is a little heavier and has more of an opaque color payoff than Peripera's Ink Mood Glowy Balm. One swipe already gives off a hefty amount of color. You can turn this up a notch and build the color with several swipes, and it really does melt so nicely on the lips. It has a very translucent quality to it, but still giving a lot of color and mixes just right with your own lip color. But of course, the more layers you add, the heavier it would feel on the lips. I still find this quite light, just a little bit tacky on the lips, but if I use the Peripera balms as reference, that one was a lot lighter and more moisturizing. The Glasting Melting Balm has a lot of shine, which I think stays longer than any of Romance tints. And just like the other tints, this also leaves a pretty stain, but not as much. The line comes in 8 shades. Romance is pretty extravagant when they release a new line, which I actually really like. We have a pretty good selection over here, so let's start. Starting off with 01 Cocoa Nude. I am in love with this shade. I don't think I've had a shade work exactly like this. It's a very light, peachy coral that freaking melts. Such a beautiful everyday shade that definitely lightens up the face. This is a nude color that just works for skin tones like mine, and I am excited to wear this every day. Next, we have 02 in Lovely Pink. Now this is a very cool tone, a very light pink shade. Build it up a little more and you get a more electrifying side of this color without going overly heavy looking. Although this kind of pink is quite out there in the market already, I do have to commend Glasting Melting Balm's formulation because the finish is chef's kiss. 03 in Sorbet Balm. This shade looks pretty similar to Lovely Pink, except this has a little bit more depth or vibrance. If you build up Lovely Pink in layers, you get a really close swatch of Sorbet Balm. Not too crazy about this shade. Between this and Lovely Pink, I do prefer 02 for an everyday wear, but if you want something more of a pop of color, then go with this. 04 in Hippie Berry is such an electrified shade. This is one of the most vibrant shades I've seen Romance put out. It's a good mix of red and pink. Definitely a pop of color, and mix it with a glossy translucent formulation. This is just gorgeous. Your lips will look super duper juicy. Now this is one of my faves, 05 in Nougat Sand. This shade is a brownish light peachy color. The way the color melts on my lips, it looks so gorgeous. If you're a fan of brownish shades, I suggest get this. If you're not used to brown shades but want to try, this shade isn't overly brown or would look heavy on the lips. I've missed using shades like this, and this is making me go back to my original favorite sets of color. Another favorite of mine is 06 in Kaya Fig. This shade looks so rosy with a slight hint of brown tone for me, and I am all for it. Unlike Hippie Berry, this shade isn't the electrified or pop of color type of shade. This is a lot more romantic, subdued, the kind that you would sport in autumn, but we don't have that in the Philippines. It's mostly summer, but this shade would always be a yes. Lastly, but definitely not the least, 07 in Mauve Whip. I am in love with this shade. Another of my favorites and another shade that I'd say has a different quality from the mauves that I have experienced in my life. This shade to me is a good mix of mauve with a hint of wine color without going overly berry. It's not a pop of color shade, it's more in the subdued romantic type, but it still has that lightness that makes it okay to be used as an everyday lippy. The more I build this color up, the more mesmerized I am. Now that we've swatched all the gorgeous shades, it's time for the wear test. Hi guys, so it's been a little bit more than an hour since I've had the Mauve Whip shade on, and so far it's looking pretty nice, still pretty glossy, and the pigment is still on there, so really good. But so far what I've really done is just I had some drinks, I had water, I had Gatorade because it's so hot right now. So we'll see later after I have my really late lunch. It's already 7 p.m. and I'm just gonna take my lunch now, but we'll see. So far I've been really loving the balm. I've been loving all the shades. Like, I'm so crazy for all the shades that they put out. Like, Roman did so well with the shades now. I swear the way it looks in person is 10 times better than how my camera could capture it. So far I'm really loving the Lasting Melting Balms. Hello strangers, so it's been more than 6 hours since I've put on the Lasting Melting Balm, and this is what's left on my lips. So since my last check-in, I've had my late lunch and I've also had my dinner. So I had chicken and rice for my late lunch and then hot pot for dinner. So as you can see, all the gloss has been taken off. There is still some stain on my lips. So before I had my hot pot, there was more stain here, but now it's almost completely gone. But overall, it still looks good with what little is left on my lips. And so far, I have nothing bad to say, or there's nothing disappointing for me about the Lasting Melting Balms. I'm really happy with this purchase. I am so excited to like wear this every day and like switch out the shades. And yeah, I hope this review has been helpful for you. I have enjoyed swatching, reviewing the Lasting Melting Balms, and I hope if you do buy them, you enjoy them as much as I do. Overall, I am in love with Roman's Lasting Melting Balms. It has gorgeous shades as usual and has moisturizing properties. Compared to the Peri Pera balms, this is more of an all-rounder, so I prefer this one. Will I put this as part of my summer essentials? 1,000 times yes. I'm so in love with this line, and it definitely can compete with the Dewy Full, Juicy Lasting, and Lasting Water tints. Now that we are done with the balms, it's time for Roman's Bare Water Cushion. This is the second cushion line I've ever featured in my channel. Finally, I'm providing more variations here with what I review. So I got 03 in Natural 21, and my order pleasantly came with a gift, a mini Bare Water Cushion. This one I chose is in 02 Pure 21. Now I'm going to swatch these two on my hands first, and let's hope one of these would at least match my skin tone. Let's start off with the 03 in Natural 21. The packaging is a simple hard plastic case in baby blue, my favorite color. This comes with a mirror and a round puff. Silky, smooth, squishable. Everything good in the world. Let's just rip this off, and this is how the cushion looks like. You can see the mesh or grid texture, but for this one, unfortunately the product leaked out, so I'll have to be careful with this. Surprisingly, the consistency of the Bare Wire cushion is very thin, but not actually water thin. But pressing the cushion, my finger picks up some product, but it's not heavily coated like I would expect. Wiping this on my hand, you can see it's not the heavy kind of formulation. It goes very transparent on the skin, and when it dries down, it doesn't feel tacky at all. It feels smooth and smells very light, like baby powder. While putting this on as well, it has that light cooling feeling that I'm picking up. Now, I'm really curious how this would fare in terms of coverage, knowing that this would go on very thin on the skin. For reference, I have acne-prone, oily, and sensitive skin. My pores on the cheeks are kind of visible, and you'll see some hyperpigmentation. So if this cushion would work for me, then there's a good chance this would work for someone with better skin. Since the consistency of this is so thin, it would take a couple of puffs to get a really good full cover. The coverage of this is very light to light medium as you layer. This feels very light on the face and just a tiny bit moist at first before settling, but generally, it doesn't feel sticky. This doesn't make your skin too shiny or too dewy. It has a satin, silky finish that just makes your skin look very healthy. Make sure you give enough time for each layering to completely settle, since I do notice the product getting lifted if you don't. The Bare Wire cushion has decent dark circle coverage and can slightly cover hyperpigmentation, but I do notice some settling on the pores and clinging onto dry patches. If you don't zoom in, it makes the pores less visible, but up close, you see these tiny dots of product because of the settling. So one side has the 03 Natural and the other just Bare Face. This shade is actually nice on me. Under certain lighting conditions though, it looks a little whiter than how the shade really is. Probably like a white cast, but nothing too drastic. Now let's try the mini. I actually think this would fit my cool skin undertone a lot more. Now I am really in awe of this packaging. This is so cute. It's just like the regular sized one, but think of it as its child. Swatching this on my hand, since the formulation is thin, it's not easy to pick up the color, but I can definitely see a subtle pinkness on the shade, especially in person. Putting this on side to side from 0 Natural, I noticed this shade makes my skin look brighter, not necessarily whiter, but my dark circles look less dark, and overall this side of my face looks livelier. This gives me the impression that the shade really fits my skin tone, but generally, there's not much of a difference between the two shades, especially since the consistency goes very thin, so shades go a lot flexible on different skin tones. I'm gonna do a wear test of the Bare Wire cushion and see how well this really fares on a couple hours of use, but before that, just a quick mask test, since supposedly the cushion has already settled on my face. I've had the mask on for an hour now while I'm working on some product shots outside under the heat. The Bare Wire cushion doesn't really transfer that much. It might not be too visible on camera, but in person, the transfer is very minimal. I thought the product would move around a lot, and since I have oily skin, I thought a lot would come off from the mask, but that's not really the case. So unless you need a very budge-proof formulation, this should work well enough. Hi guys, so it's been 6 hours since I've had this on, and now this is how it looks like. The coverage is still pretty much there, so that's really nice. The dry patches are just screaming. The issue that I had with the product settling on my pores, it's not really there now, so I mean, that's good. I'm not sure what happened, but probably the cushion marinated enough on my face, and so it just turned out a lot better. For the 6 hours I've had this on, I only had to blot twice. I also tried putting powder blush on just to see if the product would move, and thankfully it didn't. Even when I was blotting, there was really little to no transfer, so that's really nice. So far, because of the pore issue that's been settled, I'm actually feeling a lot better about this cushion. The finish is really nice. I also like how light it feels on the skin. Since it's really light on the skin, I don't think it feels tacky. It might just work for the summertime. I don't think it's gonna feel icky when you're all sweaty because of the heat. Am I in love with this cushion? Not really. I don't think this is a cushion that's gonna make me want to actively start wearing cushions again. And that sums up the Bearwire cushion review. Overall, I'm not much of a fan of this cushion. I think there are a couple of misses that hold greater weight for me. As part of my summer essentials? Not really, but I can see this working for other people as it does have some great benefits. But how about you guys? Will you be bringing all these as part of your summer essentials? Let me know your thoughts on the comment section below. I guess that's it for now. Until next time, goodbye, stranger.